In 1972, when an image of the Earth taken from space during the Apollo 17 flight was released, it became known as the blue marble. Oceans mainly reflect the color blue, and they cover more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface. Freshwater, which is less abundant, is nevertheless present in solid, liquid, or gaseous form, enabling an interchange with the oceans. Water thus forms a greater whole. Although scientists may not agree about the origins of our planet's water, they do all concur that it's an essential element for life on Earth, and therefore our most invaluable asset. Yet access to it is highly inequitable. Two billion human beings don't even have access to drinking water, while some people don't value this resource. Some even confiscate it at the expense of other humans. For the new generation, enough is enough. The political class has delayed tackling water injustice for too long, and has sometimes even encouraged it. 3 young activists have decided to stand up and speak out to protect their rivers, their lakes, and their oceans. There are equatorial countries with substantial freshwater resources. This is Uganda's case. The country shares Lake Victoria with Tanzania and Kenya. It's the 2nd largest freshwater lake in the world. But this resource is becoming increasingly compromised, and it's prompting a growing number of campaigners to take action to preserve it. Hilda is one of them. She knows Gaba, the emblematic port of the capital, Kampala, very well. Today, Hilda is meeting Peter Seruja, a fisherman from Lake Victoria.
How's the lake water? It looks cleaner today, and the water level seems to be rising.
In just a few years, Hilda has become one of the leading environmental rights activists in Uganda.
Hi, my name is Hilda. I'm a climate activist with Fridays for Future Uganda. Uganda is the 12th most vulnerable country to climate change.
When she joined the global youth movement, Fridays for Future, she launched climate dialogues and demonstrations in Uganda. At the time, these practices were uncommon in the country. Fridays for Future Uganda, which she co-founded with Leah Namugerwa, is fast becoming one of the most dynamic youth movements on the African continent and in the world. As part of the country's reforestation actions and to combat global warming, Hilda has launched a series of operations to save Lake Victoria.
I studied near Lake Shore in the Gaba landing site, and my university was close by. So one time when I was walking with a friend, we'd noticed that the water and the lake is really dirty. And I remembered when we were in school studying about water pollution, they would give examples of what causes it and how it affects people. And I thought this should be a responsibility for the people who live on the lakeside to protect this water resource that they have, that many other people do not have. So I thought to myself, what can I do to change the situation or to help protect or preserve these water bodies?
To protect the lake, Hilda first went to meet those living around it. Peter knows Gaba like the back of his hand. He shares his growing concerns about pollution and illegal fishing in the lake with the activist.
This type of fishing net is expensive. Poor people can't afford it.
How much does it cost?
It costs around $100. An illegal net costs less, around $15. Because fishermen can't afford nets like this, China has started exporting cheaper nets.
But
then it's the Ugandans who import them. This has had a major impact on fish stocks, as it's led to the death of large numbers of fish in the lake. They have a high destructive potential because they don't break down easily. But the nets we use are made of yarn. They catch the right size of fish, they're legal, and they're biodegradable. When I was a child, there were lots of Nile perch. Too many, in fact. All we had to do was gather them up. Times have changed. It's us, the residents. We damage the lake the most. And our government's also to blame. Why? Because they've done nothing to raise public awareness about plastic pollution. Someone who buys a peeled mango wrapped in a polythene bag throws the bag away after eating. This polythene bag gets blown into the lake by the wind. And when it fills with water, it becomes lethal to fish. A single bag can trap and kill up to 10 fish. And those are 10 fish who would have given birth to 300 others.
Tens of thousands of fishermen ply their trade on Lake Victoria every day. They supply a food source to millions of people locally, or, depending on market demand, they export to the rest of the world. These fishermen face countless difficulties: overfishing, illegal fishing, non-native and invasive species, pollution, and a drop in oxygen levels for the fish. 3/4 of fish species are threatened with extinction. And within 50 years, Lake Victoria could be emptied of its biodiversity if nothing is done. Water campaigners rely on the expertise of those who know aquatic habitats best. For Hilda, it's the fishermen. But these experts can also be water users, like surfers in California. To protect the oceans, young Californian activists Charlie and Dakota Peebler work closely with the Surfrider Foundation USA.
I'm Charlie Peebler. I'm a co-founder of Heirs to Our Oceans, which is an international nonprofit, and we're super excited to be here partnering with Surfrider today. And we're a youth-led team, and we will be leading the brand audit for our cleanup today. You might be wondering, what is a brand audit? A brand audit is a way for us to engage in citizen science to make real-world change using data from our beach cleanups. Heirs to Our Oceans originally formed in 2016, and it formed because my sister and I wanted to bring a group of friends together to create a documentary about our oceans and why they were important and what was happening to them today. So we started doing presentations, protests, rallies. We started tabling at different events. And shortly after Heirs to Our Oceans was formed for the purpose of a movie, it actually became the nonprofit it is today. We started to do beach cleanups. We started at Tenitas Creek Beach, which is near Pescadero, California. And it was a party beach, so it was very dirty. We found lots of debris. We really started to clean up that beach regularly on the month. So we would do a once-a-month beach cleanup.
Sorry. We'll just all say sorry.
We just rolled a 45-pound tire uphill on a trail from a beach for a 1/4 mile. That's pretty exhausting. Right now, we are at Tenitas Creek doing a beach cleanup. And right now we have an all-you-can-eat buffet. We have 3 slices of pepperoni pizza, cheese, cabbage, corn on the cob, some lime halves and lemon halves, a Hershey's chocolate bar, wrapper, pit, beer. And this is our disgusting all-you-can-eat buffet. You have to pay $50 not to eat it. We are serving on some used tinfoil, some tire.
The sisters' original and spontaneous initiatives soon became more far-reaching.
Eventually, we started to realize that beach cleanups weren't really cleanups because we couldn't get all of the trash at once. And we couldn't get all of the little microplastics or tiny fishing wires.
It's like if your bathtub was overflowing and you were taking buckets and trying to get the water out, like you want to turn off the tap. That's the only way you're gonna fix that. So we decided, okay, well, what's the tap in this, scenario? And it's the corporations. It's the corporations that are producing these single-use plastics that are ending up in our environment, in our oceans, in our waterways. And so we started to conduct brand audits.
The aim of brand audits is to trace sources of production, from the waste on the beach, back to major corporations, via consumers. By joining forces with the Surfrider Foundation and Break Free from Plastic, Heirs to Our Ocean is able to directly address legislators with detailed data.
I feel like a lot of my generation can feel accomplished and like they're making a change when they sign a petition or when they post a post on Instagram, but that's not going to make a change unless it changes our policies. A petition with thousands of signatures can make a difference, but it makes more of a difference if you see 5 young faces in a legislator's office actually asking our leaders to make a difference for us, for our futures.
Charlie and Dakota appeal to legislators to protect their oceans and to remind public authorities of the role they have to play in protecting the environment. When these authorities are absent, the situation can become critical. This is what Hilda discovers when she continues her investigation on Lake Victoria with Peter. A few kilometers from the port of Gaba, she discovers that wetlands have again been destroyed to make way for new buildings.
And as you can see, the swamps are being cut down to create space for urbanization, for building of houses, which is illegal because you have to build far away from the lake shores in order to leave enough space for the lake to expand. And in this case, it's a very big challenge because people who build close to the lake, later when the water increases, it submerges their houses, spoils their property, and also sometimes it kills people. Another challenge is the waste dumping that is done by the people who stay around the lake. As you can see, the water quality is different. It's more green. That means it has a lot of chemicals, a lot of fertilizer in it, and also waste that is dumped into the lake.
Lake Victoria's shores are being destroyed by Uganda's rapid urbanization, particularly in Kampala and around the lake. The capital's new residents often have to cram into shanty towns that cause the erosion of reed beds. The rapid growth of these neighborhoods makes it difficult to manage the sewage and waste which ends up in the tributaries or even directly in the lake, affecting the quality of the water. In other districts of Kampala, housing or leisure projects such as creating golf grounds drive developers to destroy the wetlands. New leisure activities encourage the affluent middle classes to move into houses with a view of the lake. The resulting construction work requires materials such as sand, which is increasingly being extracted from the lake, threatening fish populations.
There is a lot of sand mining that is going on in Lake Victoria. This sand destroys the fish habitats where they lay their eggs, thus reducing the number of fish in the lake.
The absence of public authorities and the residents' lack of environmental education is causing the deterioration of Lake Victoria. And Uganda is far from being the only country with insufficient environmental awareness. Heirs to Our Ocean identified a similar situation in the United States and in many other countries across the world. The members of the association analyzed the shortcomings of an education system that has little place for ecology or youth empowerment. They then devised different ways of taking action, including bringing groups of children and teenagers together around environmental education. Every year, Charlie and Dakota co-organize meetings of young activists from California, the rest of the US, and the entire world. These environmental gatherings are called Summits for Empowerment, Action, and Leadership. The participants, some of whom have to deal with serious environmental problems in their regions, learn a range of skills so that they feel able to raise alerts, to speak out, to take action, and so lead the fight to protect their water resources and their environment.
In SEAL, we do public speaking work, we do policy advocacy work, we do, research and investigation as citizen scientists almost.
It's really as it is in the acronym. Empowerment comes first, and then comes the action and the leadership. We're not just an ocean conservation organization. That was our main goal, but we've evolved since then. And Heirs to Our Oceans today is really all about inspiring youth to take the next steps to fight for their futures, whether their future that they're fighting for is related to social justice, environmental justice, the climate crisis, ocean conservation, or even humanitarian rights.
Over the years, the Summits for Empowerment, Action, and Leadership have created a truly global community of young activists who support each other. And little by little, they're making their voices heard at the highest international levels. Charlie and Dakota were invited to the United Nations Ocean Conference in Lisbon in 2022. The two sisters are here to defend young people's rights to be part of decision-making at major international conferences. However, since Dakota is 16 and still a minor, she isn't allowed access to the plenary room where important decisions are made. So she and Charlie will have to give separate speeches. It's an unfair situation, which highlights the difficulty young people have in gaining access to arenas of power.
Is that where you're speaking, Charlie?
The arena?
Yes.
Yeah. Is the museum nearby? Is it?
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, it's over there. Okay. Cool.
Tomorrow, are you gonna come with me for when I present?
Yeah, I'll be there for sure. Yeah, it really sucks that you can't get in. It's so ironic when everyone says, "Oh my gosh, we need youth voices," and then there's a rule against it. Like, why? Oh, it goes a lot faster on this side. With high-level conferences like these, it's definitely a struggle. It's not accessible to youth, and especially those who are going to be impacted most by the decisions that are being made, those who are on the front lines for climate change, sea level rise. It's different for them because they just can't get their voices heard in a way that's meaningful.
There's a lot of tokenization of youth in ocean conservation and environmental work in general, where they want the inspiration, they want
you know, that good look of having youth involved. But at the end of the day, you know, it's not accessible. We can't get into these spaces. And I want to prove that youth have something to say. So there's some pressure from that, for sure, but it's worth it every single time.
It's stressful for young activists to take part in major international conferences because they have to prove their legitimacy. Charlie and Dakota will be separated on stage, but they'll work together on their respective speeches.
Of the speech is pretty realistic. I'm thinking about putting in like the beginning, like having like asking questions like to the audience, like as a beginning. Okay, I'll do that, and then I'll say, and then yeah, and then I could be like, so we're all, you know, we all want to do it, but how? Yeah. Hello, my name is.
Their mother, April, rehearses with them. April joined her 2 children on the Heirs to Our Oceans adventure, and she's now the organization's director. While Charlie reviews her notes, Dakota starts a run-through of her speech. But this is not just a family affair.
Youth around the world have reached out to Heirs to Our Oceans, wanting to form youth advisory councils for the decade in their own countries.
The empowerment component is so important to Heirs to Our Oceans because it is the piece of programming that allows youth to develop skill sets to take into the world as they move into whatever space they'll be at as adults.
Thank you all so much for your time and your efforts. Obrigada. I think you're gonna do great. Fabulous.
Keep in mind you have speakers from around the world, so English second language for many, and articulate and enunciate. And imagine I'm now there in the plenary.
I've seen that most youth are not speaking about the science of human impacts on our oceans. We request education is reformed to include the science of human impacts on our oceans and waterways. And I have never been really good at taking constructive criticism. We've definitely had our moments where I'm like, I don't want to work with you on this presentation anymore. She's like, fine, you don't need my help. And I'm like, okay. And then I get really nervous because I know I actually do need her help. And I'm like, oh God, what am I gonna do? This is gonna be a terrible presentation. Mom, can you help me? So it's definitely like, presentations have always been a big part of my parents' relationships with me and my sister in Heirs to Our Oceans. Empowerment for Heirs to Our Oceans really means getting a little outside of your comfort zone and building self-confidence.
Youth who are met with adversarial conditions, when they speak to lawmakers, for instance, when they talk to Procter & Gamble or Coca-Cola or Starbucks, for them to feel like they've got this and they have the confidence and the support and the knowledge, the correct knowledge, to stand up in the face of adversary when they are working toward a better and safer future for themselves. That's the empowerment piece that comes with them having these skill sets, and also the very supportive international community that's come together in purpose of creating a better, safer world.
Public speaking has become one of the most important tools for environmental activists. Hilda Nakabui knows this. In just a few years, she's become one of Uganda's most powerful and listened to voices on the international stage.
Good morning, guten Morgen. My name is Hilda Flavia Nakawie. I am the founder of Uganda's Fridays for Future movement. You've been negotiating for the last 25 years, even before I was born. We are a generation of scared people, but very ambitious, very united, very persistent, and very good at action. I sacrifice all my pocket money into a lecture cleanup activity I do to beat plastic pollution, and I need you to join me in this fight. You too can make a decision now. If you are willing to join the youth in this fight, I want you to promise to us by standing up right now. be safe.
This inspiring speech also has a local and national impact. Hilda has motivated many activists to join her in Fridays for Future Uganda and implement projects such as the cleanup of Lake Victoria's shores. It's a way of taking action in the field.
We will need 3 people to be helping with the collection of the waste.
Fridays for Future is a big movement in Uganda, and we have a network of 52,000 students and youth. And one of the activities that we are doing is a lake cleanup project, which I lead on the shores of water bodies.
Who is willing to be in the water? So does everyone have gloves? Yes, we have. Okay, I think we get started. That you can still, yeah? The white one in the boot. We should be done by 7 minutes past 11. Yeah, we can fold and then...
Hilda is a role model for other Ugandan activists, and she was in turn inspired by the actions of Sweden's Greta Thunberg.
When I learned about the Fridays for Future movement, Greta strikes outside the Swedish parliament, I was very motivated and inspired to do the same here. 80% of people affected by climate change are women, according to the UN. Greta inspired very many young female activists. And since we have a figure, a very strong figure like Greta, who is also a woman, it portrays what other women are passing through. So she's like a voice of the millions of voiceless women.
As the cleanup begins, the first signs of the lake's poor health emerge.
Yeah, as you can see, more fishes, this is due to eutrophication. There is a nearby market. They just dispose of their waste into the water, not knowing of the effects it would cause. And these are the results.
This is irrefutable evidence that can be shared on social media and used to raise public awareness.
Still young and immature.
Fridays for Future Uganda's campaigning work, alongside the cleanup, has motivated Peter, the fisherman, to join the team. But raising awareness among Gaba's residents is still a challenge.
The people around, they're not aware. We can clean today, but tomorrow they will also deposit those materials in water. So I think we should sensitize the people around. We come and tell them what are the disadvantages of throwing the buveras and some other dangerous materials into the water.
Gaba's residents don't sort their rubbish because the public authorities only provide limited recycling solutions. So the team's challenge is to solve the serious collection and sorting problems in the area, and also support energy innovations.
We sort the waste, put it in different bags to make it easy to recycle the plastic after the cleanup, and also to make it easy for the biodegradable waste to be made into briquettes.
Invasive plants are also harvested to be transformed into combustible briquettes that replace firewood for cooking, and so help combat deforestation in Uganda.
Plastic.
This is another solution proposed by the Ugandan youth movement. They're one of the continent's most active environmental communities.
I would say that everyone who joins Fridays for Future becomes a friend, because there is this connection that we all have, that we want to do something for our communities. So it keeps you motivated to work if you see that other people are also working for the same cause.
It's really heavy.
We are going to make a video, preserve our lakes, protect our natural resources. Preserve our lakes, protect our natural resources.
Lakeshore cleanup! Good job, guys.
The cleanup campaigns are always shared on social media, particularly on the Fridays for Future Uganda X page, which is very active. This communication is aimed at the international community, but also at local residents, who are gradually becoming aware that it's important not to throw rubbish into the lake. Greta Thunberg launched a grassroots movement that inspires many young people around the world today. Now a whole generation is creating its own new paradigms, with actions and engagement in the field based around communication and public speaking.
When I first arrived at the UN Ocean Conference, I was pretty excited because I'd never been to a United Nations event like that before, and I was excited to see what kind of events they were offering, what youth I might meet there. I was slotted for a morning session slot. It's a 3-hour-long slot, so I could have spoken anywhere in those 3 hours. And we quickly were kind of taken aback by the types of events and types of presentations that were there. The representatives of different member states kept going overtime. Also, everyone was saying the exact same thing. It's like, this is what our country needs, this is what we're doing about it, let's protect future generations for youth. For the stakeholder speeches, you couldn't go overtime, they would shut the mic off on you and literally kick you off stage. So it was very obvious, very clear. They didn't care.
The very short time allotted to NGOs, scientists, and stakeholders is gradually being taken up by political representatives. 3 hours go by, and Charlie's speech has finally been postponed to the afternoon, meaning Charlie will miss her sister Dakota's speech.
It was definitely an eye-opening experience to see the disregard for stakeholder voices. I still kind of miss those old days when, I was just a cute little 12-year-old talking passionately about coral reefs, and people were just genuinely impressed by how young I was.
When we first originally started doing things with, ocean conservation, I did not think at all about policy advocacy. That wasn't even on my mind. I had no idea that, myself, a 10, 11-year-old kid, could even, get into those spaces.
Dr. Seattle here today, and I have something to tell you. Dun dun dun! It's Seattle when it's weak! So cute.
Charlie and Dakota's journey to protect the oceans began when the two sisters took an interest in marine biodiversity protection. It all started when Dakota developed a passion for sea otters, earning the family nickname of Dr. Otter.
So Dr. Sea Otter started out as a joke because I was super nerdy about sea otters for a really long time, and I ran to my mom because I found out that the Monterey Bay Aquarium has a live cam that shows their sea otters 24/7. And so I was watching it for hours.
Dr. Sea Otter, on my way to a necropsy with Dr. Melissa Miller. She's the top person of necropsies, and I'm super excited. I'm a little bit nervous because I have to do questions.
Despite her young age, Dakota lost no time in contacting leading marine biologists on the Californian coast. They showed her some of their work, including observation, population monitoring, and even sea otter autopsies. This extraordinary experience became one of Heirs to Our Ocean's milestones, because protecting the ocean starts with education.
Oh, you can see a little bit of blood.
Oh my goodness, sure enough.
It started with curiosity, and I wanted to know more. And as I learned more, I was very passionate about it, and I wanted to do something about the issues that I was seeing that, were impacting these animals that I was so passionate and interested in. It's harder to protect something you don't care about, and it's hard to care about something you don't know. and just teaching about the importance of, this ocean that seems so distant and far away, but really plays a huge role in all of our lives.
All the members of Heirs to Our Ocean then met with specialists and pulled together a collective knowledge that's extraordinary for such young people. The strong connection between marine animals and environmental conservation has developed into a more global project.
I think it is still important to talk about the marine life to help save the oceans, because if you can't connect someone to the ocean, they're not going to care about it. But it's definitely harder now that we're older. That's something that I think is where our strategy's changed a little bit and where the perspective has changed, because while everyone knows about certain ocean animals, not everyone knows about the teenagers who are suffering flooding or having to deal with sea level rise coming into their homes, or are dealing with hunger and starvation because of climate change. Like, those different impacts, when you experience them from someone who lived that story, for sure it's important to bring the humanitarian aspect as well as the save marine life aspect.
Marine fauna is an excellent entry point for raising awareness of the need to protect the oceans. In California, where the human population has only recently grown, marine mammals cohabit with us in many places. Those who are curious about them are more likely to support ocean preservation wholeheartedly. Charlie and Dakota's passion for marine animals made them realize that our water resources also need to be protected if human populations are to survive. Hilda Nakabuye shares this viewpoint. Millions of people in Uganda depend on fresh water from Lake Victoria for their survival. So when she learned that the oil company Total Energies was planning to construct the world's largest pipeline through East Africa, she alerted the public to the very high risk of oil pollution throughout the lake catchment area.
The EACOP, or which stands for East African Crude Oil Pipeline, is a project operated by a French company, Total Energies, and CNOOC, which is a Chinese company, together with the government of Uganda and Tanzania. This project is starting from Hoima in Uganda and to the port of Tanga in Tanzania. It's a 1,445 kilometer long oil pipeline, and if constructed, it will be the world's longest heated crude oil pipeline.
This is what the pipeline would look like before being buried. It would transport crude oil over a very long distance, increasing the risk of oil spills into lakes and rivers.
It passes through over 200 rivers. It passes through game parks and national reserves. It passes through Uganda's only tropical rainforest that we are left with. Among the 200 rivers which are going to be crossed is Kagera River, which is the biggest water inlet into Lake Victoria. A third of this pipeline is going to pass through Lake Victoria Basin.
Between 1 and 2 billion barrels will be extracted from Ugandan reserves over several decades, leading to 33 million tons of CO2 pollution per year. And these oil reserves aren't even enough for 3 weeks of global petrol consumption. It's an inordinate environmental risk. The project is both a climate bomb and a major risk to the survival of all those who rely on Lake Victoria's water. This is the argument put forward by Fridays for Future Uganda, and it's attracted the support of many other international NGOs.
Fridays for Future Uganda is working with a Stop EACOP coalition. This coalition has over 100 organizations worldwide.
A lot has happened since the last time Hilda and Vanessa were here in France. And thanks to you, the mobilization has been going very well.
Hilda Nakabui and Fridays for Future Uganda have managed to harness a great deal of support abroad. The public is rallying because the promoters of the pipeline project are using drastic measures to achieve their aims, in spite of the threat to the climate.
And the UN did warn France, Total and Uganda.
Opponents to the project have also been persecuted, whether they be community leaders or members of NGOs of our partners in Uganda. Just last week, one of our Ugandan colleagues was arrested by the police.
Hilda knows the environmental activist who's being investigated by the Ugandan police. His name is Maxwell Atahura, and the two of them have led several campaigns to raise awareness of the EACOP project in Europe, particularly in France and Germany.
On est là pour participer à la marche pour le climat demain à Paris et pour sensibiliser sur le projet pétrolier EACOP en Afrique de l'Est, mené par une compagnie française, Total.
Hilda and Maxwell succeeded in gathering widespread public support through demonstrations and a flash mob specially choreographed for the occasion.
Ecosystems, it's very worrying.
The clock is ticking. The construction of the pipeline is underway. It's time to act.
Although they're supported in Europe, Hilda and Maxwell remain very vulnerable in their own country, and they're worried about the treatment of activists in Uganda.
So they wanted to show me the power they have, that they can do anything.
What happened to you?
I was arrested, spent 2 nights in the cells, and released on bond after 48 hours. The second time they came, arrested me for some hours, and the end of it all was to close my office on field in Ibilisa. The office was closed, and up to now the office is still closed. Anybody going to the ground to the first check with them, we feel that is not right. How do I go to check with Total? Wherever you are going, they can listen what you are saying. But for them, they don't say that you want them to go and listen to you. They say they want you to protect you. They will go to protect you. But
to protect you from what? Like
from
it's
what?
fishy.
I have not asked you to come and protect me. I know I'm safe.
This is your village.
Yes.
You grew up from here.
So
you
for
know
them, they are
everything.
saying, we are coming to protect you.
Intimidation, harassment, arrests. Lake Victoria's advocates are up against the Ugandan government's power. A government which is trampling on human rights and trying to silence activists. Water campaigners are trying to make their voices heard, like Charlie at the UN plenary session.
I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of heirs to our oceans.
Thank you, Chairman. Dear Excellencies and honorable attendees, my name is Charlie Peebler. I am a co-founder of Heirs to Our Oceans, a youth-led organization. There have been many occasions when my voice was one of few youth voices in the room. We request that education is reformed to include the science of human impacts on our oceans and waterways. The power of real-world education should not be underestimated in navigating the ocean, water, and climate crises, and neither should youth voices. Youth, starting at a teen age, must be provided a meaningful seat at the table, as our ocean needs true intergenerational partnership. We talk about protecting the oceans for future generations, but we must have the future generations in this room as the decisions are being made. Thank you.
For this new generation of activists, public speaking in places that are hard to access represents a victory every time. It's the most effective way to raise awareness and so protect rivers, lakes, and oceans. The cleanups of Lake Victoria's shores and the communication on social media have been popular with the locals. The amount of rubbish being collected is decreasing year by year.
Since we started in 2019 up to now, you can notice that there's a change. The amount of waste we used to collect is not the amount of waste right now. Sometimes you can even go at the shore and there's no rubbish. We carried out this to communicate to the people. During these cleanups, we also talk to the public, so it's not just us coming and doing and then we go away. We want to engage with the community.
Hilda continues her international work with Maxwell to protect the entire Lake Victoria catchment area from the risks of pollution posed by the EACOP project. It's an ongoing battle, punctuated by hope.
We see the campaign is growing. Yeah, many people are coming on board. Yeah, so it is interesting. We see that there is hope. So long as the Total and government is committed to see this project progress, it will never be safe to people like us. Closing office does not stop me from working. I can work from home, I can work from the tree, I can work from the tent, I can work from the lake, I can work from anywhere.
Maxwell and Hilda's tenacity is paying off. With the growing support of the public, their lobbying work in Europe has led most of the banks and insurance companies financing the EACOP project to withdraw. Total Energy's investment capital for EACOP is gradually being reduced. But despite growing public opposition, the project continues, albeit at a slower rate. Back in San Francisco, Charlie and Dakota continue to grow their activist community. Together with Emily, a contributor to Heirs to Our Ocean, they're welcoming Amber from New York and Litokne from the Marshall Islands in the Pacific. Recent storms linked to climate change have brought a lot of debris to the beach. This gives them the opportunity to assess their latest coastal cleanup operation.
There's a piece of branded plastic here. Emily and Dakota and I were here for the International Coastal Cleanup in September. And obviously, you know, there's gonna be trash again after like 3 months. But you can see there's still like lots of branded pieces of plastic, like this. Let's see, where is this from? So it actually does make it kind of hard to do brand audits here because you end up counting a lot of like miscellaneous plastic pieces and not as much like actual branded stuff. But the data's still good when we do get some branded things.
Amber and Litokne, former participants in the Summits for Empowerment, Action and Leadership, have become friends. They talk about the difficulty young people encounter in speaking out and feeling legitimate.
My voice and like other voices from the Pacific Islands or any other country who are on the front line of the climate crisis, I would say they were ignored in a way, which is pretty unfortunate for us because you're up there and you're speaking on behalf of your people.
Because I get the privilege of being like mainlander, living in a big city like New York. You know what I mean? Like almost everything is passing through New York. So the accessibility in that part has never been an issue, but my age has definitely been a barrier at times because then it's just like, oh, well, you're young. You don't know the world. You know what I mean? Like you don't have all the information, so how could you have a really like a meaningful opinion? But it's like, yes, I might be still learning, but I'm like actively experiencing these things. You know what I mean?
You know, we're different, but at the same time, you know, we're in the same boat here. We're all inheriting the same planet.
We're so all interconnected on this planet and so many different issues are interconnected. And so youth empowerment is very important to us because we want youth to pursue their passions to live a healthy and safe future.
Protecting water, rivers, lakes, and oceans is not just about cleaning up beaches and riverbanks. Water activists understand that in order to preserve our most precious resource, they need to grow a community of individuals capable of taking action, speaking out, and helping each other everywhere.
In a country like Uganda, sometimes I feel like maybe I should stop when I see other activists are being arrested and, killed. I feel threatened. But then sometimes, for instance, when I look at other countries that, keep protesting, that keep speaking up, other activists that keep doing all the work they do, they just keep me motivated and pushing. I am doing everything in my capability. I am fighting for our present, our future, but also for the preservation of our water bodies, our water resources.
Hilda, Charlie, and Dakota's fight to preserve water is also the fight of an entire generation, which truly wants to be heard.